ये एक इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चन जो कि पूछा गया था टीसीएस में एंड द क्वेश्चन इज प्रोग्राम टू फाइंड द काउंट ऑफ एलिमेंट्स whose value is greater than all of the elements that occur before it. So suppose I have this set of data in my array 7 4 8 2 1 9, and what I'm supposed to do is I have to find the occurrence of all those elements whose value is greater than all the elements which occur before that element. Okay, so if I start from here from 7, so if I observe 7, so no element is occurring before 7, so I would consider that 7 is greater of all the elements which are occurring before 7. Are you getting me? What I'm saying is 7 is the first element of this array. So I would say that 7 is greater than all the elements which are occurring before 7. However, no element is occurring before 7. But in that case also, I'll be considering 7 as the greatest element of all the elements before it. Now, so far the count of such elements is 1. Okay. Now, if I move on to the next element, that is 4. So 4 is not greater than the elements which are occurring before 4, right? Because we know that 7 is the element which is occurring before 4, but 7 is not lesser than 4. That means 4 is not greater than 7. So I'll not be counting 4 in this case. Now moving on to the next element, that is 8. So 8 is the element which is greater than all the elements which are occurring before it. That is, 8 is greater than 7 also, and 8 is greater than 4 also. Okay. Now, moving on to the next element. So, yeah, now the count has become 2. Now, moving on to the next element, that is 2. So, 2 is not greater than all the elements which are occurring before 2. Okay. So, we are not considering this one. Similarly, 1 is not greatest of all the elements which are occurring before it. Now moving on to the 9. So 9 is the one which has its value which is greater than all the elements which are occurring before 9. So now we are going to increment the count. Okay. So final answer for this question should be 3. Okay. Now let's start coding for this. So first of all, I'm going to make the main class. I'm going to name this class as main only. Let me select the language also. I'm going to create a main method. Okay. Now, first of all, let's initialize the array. So I'm going to name the array as A. I'm initializing it this with the same set of data. Okay. Now let's also calculate the length of this array in L variable. A dot length. Now, secondly, what we are supposed to do is let's have one more variable x in which I'm going to store the first element of the array. Why? I'll let you know. So the first element I can access from the 0th position of the array. So see, I do not need to iterate from the first position. I do not need to iterate from the 0th position, because for the 0th position, the count will always be 1, because I'm considering that since the first element is the first element of the array, so no other element is existing before that element. Okay, so the count of such elements would be 1 in that case. Okay, so I'm not iterating from the 0th position, I'll be iterating from the first position. So that's why I'm just storing the first element in a separate variable, that is x. Okay, now I'm going to iterate over this array using for loop from the position 1 till the length of the array. I plus plus. Okay, so the logic is if at any position, if at any position the value in the array is greater than the element which I have in X variable, what I need to do is suppose let's come to this point. At this position, I have eight variable. Sorry, I have eight as the element. Okay. Now in my X variable, what do I have? 7. Okay. So at this position, 8 is greater than 7. That means what it is indicating? It is indicating that I have found my greatest element. I have found my greatest element so far. That means 8 is the greatest element of all the elements which are occurring before 8. Okay. So at this step, I need to reinitialize my X variable. So far till here, the greatest element was 7. Now I encountered new greatest element. So I have to just reinitialize the value of X. Okay. So what I'll do is I reinitialize the value of X. Okay. Now, since I have encountered my new greatest element, so I have to also increment the count variable. Okay, I have not initialized the count variable. Let me just do that right away. Since I'm considering that the first element is one of those elements whose value is greater than all the elements which are occurring before it, so initially I'll put my count variable value as 1. Okay, now I think everything seems good. Let's just print the count. Yes, we are getting 3. Similarly, we can uh, try another input, comma 9, or we can say 7. Sorry, I took 2 commas. Yeah, still we are getting 3. Okay, so I hope you understood this. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you didn't, then please hit the dislike button. Thank you.